Welcome to the Brew Crew Review Podcast, the show by fans for fans of your Milwaukee Brewers.
Welcome to the Brew Crew Podcast, Brewer fans. This is Craig and Vince with you today, and we're going to do our June Rapid 9 episode. We're going to go through 9 innings in fast fashion around the horn between the two of us, answering some questions. So that's coming up here. Let's start off by updating the standings, and the Milwaukee Brewers have a pretty comfortable lead as we head into the end of June here in the NL Central, which is nice. But again, there's a long way to go, a lot to happen. But I guess what are your thoughts on where the Brewers are at so far this season, Vince?
I mean, so far so good, Craig. Great to be here to talk some baseball with you as always. I'm really excited. We've seen this team be consistent now over the first couple of months, I should say. You always hear Memorial Day as being the first barometer as to how it's a long enough stretch of time to really look at a team, and we passed that benchmark with flying colors. And then the second one is usually the All-Star break, and that's coming up in about a month, or a little less than a month actually, about 3 weeks. And so we're about halfway there now between Memorial Day and the All-Star break, and so far so good. Rough one last night in San Diego, but overall I love the trajectory of this team. I think Pat Murphy deserves a ton of credit, and we can go through the list as to why this team is looking as good as they are. But no, all positive and all very exciting at this point. I have some concerns about the longevity of our starting rotation plan, but right now I give this team an A so far on the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the Brewers fans went in the season kind of thinking that this could be a transition year, or kind of like a more of a reload or whatever, when you got the different manager and your star pitchers, I should say, Corbin Burns gone and Woodruff on the shelf for the whole year. I think that they were thinking this would be a good year to break in some of the younger arms and whatnot, and I think it's some experience, but that's happening. But also, the Brewers are doing well, especially offensively, but their bullpen's been amazing. Their starting pitching has held it together. Freddie Peralta has been pretty solid at the top of rotation, and the rest of the guys have just been, guys that we had no expectations too much of, like guys like Colin Ray and Tobias Myers, even Bryce Wilson, and they're all contributing up and down the bullpen, and it's unbelievable. So yeah, there's nothing but positive vibes coming off this Brewer team. And like I said, I think we set the tone right from the day one with Pat Murphy, and I know with Rhys Hoskins, starting a little bit of a brawl the first against the Mets to start the season. And I think we've been in Brewers lead the league in 5 brawls with 5 different teams. So I think it kind of sets the tone, in my opinion. It's a little bit old school, and I really like that. So I think that this is a team that, having that type of thing, it builds chemistry within the team, in my opinion. When someone's got your back in more ways than one. So I think it increases bonds between players, and it really makes guys want to do well for one another as a team, as a unit, and not as an individual. So it's a pretty cool thing to see. Unfortunately, some of the latest transaction news, Robert Gasser did decide to get, he's going to go under the knife and get Tommy John surgery after his 3rd opinion. So that's unfortunate, but we hope to see him back in just over a year, as he's still a big part of the Brewers' future plans, I believe, obviously in the rotation. He had a great, little rookie start to his career. And a couple of other Brewers, I think we recalled a player required from the Red Sox for Luis Urias a couple of years ago, and that's Bradley Blaylock has been recalled, and he's going to
just last year, Craig, if you can believe it.
Oh, it was just last year. Okay, yeah. Seems like it was a while
just
ago,
last year since we traded Urias. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And I know Tyler Black was recalled from the minor leagues, and I know Dunn was sent down. So a couple of transactions, a couple of fresh faces, and again, this is the MO of this team. Cycling people through the bullpen and even through, I guess, the bench in some ways. Keeping guys fresh and giving a lot of opportunities, a lot of experience for a lot of the younger guys going up and down and experiencing ups and downs and growing pains, and they're doing it all with having success. And we've been navigating some injuries as well, which is always a sign of attrition for a really good team. So I don't know, there's something about this team that makes them really fun to root for for sure up and down the lineup. And we've got guys like Sal Frelick making game-saving catches at the end of games and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to see. Awesome. So.
Yeah, it is, and you talked about it, but the churn at the end of the bullpen, I think that the last guy has been replaced 3 times in the last week and a half or so. Initially, it was Mitch White, and he was sent back down to He actually passed through waivers and was sent back down to AAA Nashville. And as part of the transactions that brought Tyler Black up to Milwaukee, we actually designated for assignment Eliezer Hernandez. So we'll see what happens with him. But he had been a recent pickup. But we've had others as well. James Meeker, and that last spot in the bullpen is not a very secure spot, especially for guys after they throw if they throw 2 or 3 innings on any given day, they're not going to be ready and fresh for the next game. So they typically get either sent back down to Nashville or designated for assignment. It seems so far in the year.
Yep, that's all great points. All right, let's just jump right into this rapid 9. We got the first inning here. I know the All-Star
You said we could take our time with this too, right, Craig?
Well, yeah, and on our I suppose we could
have to be
just
really rapid.
kind of fire it off so we can get through this. Major League Baseball, it's just like you can't step out of the box or do too many disengagements with these answers. Like maybe one per one per question at the most. But for the most part, the All-Star game's coming up. It's in Arlington down this year, which is I should say, I guess your neck of the woods, Vince, and living in Houston. This is in Arlington, which I know is a couple of hour drive away. I know that you plan on attending some of the events, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, very excited. We actually we booked our hotel like a year ago when we were there for the Brewers series in Arlington last August. Now my wife, but at the time fiance, we were there for the Brewers series last August, and we realized that we should probably start looking at hotels then. So we ended up booking a hotel for a normal rate for 3 nights, I think it is, and I know that the rates have more than like quadrupled since then. So I'm glad that we were kind of thinking ahead a little bit. So yeah, we booked our hotel last August. Nice.
All right. Well, it's pretty cool events and always really exciting. And since they've had the All-Star game in Milwaukee, now I can't believe it's been 22 years ago. That they've added the draft as part of that weekend. So that's really exciting. I've always, that's a kind of dream of mine to maybe be able to attend a draft in person. So maybe I'll be able to live my dream out a little bit here, Vince, when it's in Arlington. So that,
yeah, sounds good. We are planning on going to the draft. Definitely want to do Fan Fest, the game, obviously, and the home run derby. We're trying to get to everything. There's a chance I may have to come up to Milwaukee for meetings on Tuesday before the game time. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. But certainly we're going to enjoy some baseball festivities that week.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, here we go. First inning. Predict the 2024 Milwaukee Brewers All-Stars.
I think it'll be William Contreras. I think it will be, it should be Bryce Terang. I don't know that it actually will be though. I'll say it'll be Yelich and Contreras will be our All-Stars, and it's a bit unfair. Both those guys are deserving, but I also think that it should include Bryce Terang. You could definitely make a case for Joey Ortiz, and you really could make a case for Brian Hudson, but I don't think anyone knows who he is outside of Milwaukee.
And there you go. But I mean, from sure numbers alone, those are my guesses too. Contreras is a no-brainer. Yelich most likely will win on the fan vote. We'll see, but and he's deserving either way. And then when you look at our bullpen guys, it feels like someone from our rotation, even though it's a great team effort, or I mean from our pitching staff, I should say, should make it. And I would say that dark horse of Brian Hudson. I mean, his ERA is under 1, and he pitches multiple innings and lots of strikeouts. I mean, I don't know what else you want from a reliever, but from the left side, no doubt, but. I think because of the fact that every team needs to be represented, he'd probably get squeezed out. So I'll just go with the same as you, and I'll go with Contreras and Yelich, but I'll hope for more. And like you said, Terang is obviously a deserving rookie, deserving player with his stats he's put up so far this season. So, all right, second inning.
Scott's intern is handing me a note right now, Craig, and Brian Hudson on the year is 4-0 with a 0.90 ERA. In 26 games. He's also thrown 40 innings out of the bullpen, which is the most innings of any Brewers reliever. And I mean, pretty incredible numbers there.
Yeah, strikeout
46 strikeouts. 40,
Yeah.
46 strikeouts in those 40 innings.
Yeah, very good. So much more than 1 per 9. So that's great. Um, okay, second inning. I think this rule has been in place by MLB for over 25 years now. But do you agree with the MLB rule of every team having at least one All-Star representative?
I do, yeah. I think that it's an exhibition game, so I'm not really all that worked up about it. I think that it's cool. It's a good thing that they're appealing to fans from all the markets around the league. And I will say this, as a Brewers fan who lived through the '90s, I understand that Ricky Bonas may have been a token All-Star, but I still appreciate the fact that I could tune in to one of my favorite sporting events of the year and still see somebody representing my team.
Yeah, I feel like more so than the other major sports. I feel like baseball is a kid's game more than the other ones, and I think that this is a big reason. Even though I guess the network television isn't quite what it used to be, but I still think the All-Star game is a big thing for a kid that's a fan of baseball, and to watch your a representative from your team to compete with like all the current greats that will at one point turn into all-time greats is something pretty special for a kid to see, and really makes them a fan of not only the game but of their team. So yeah, I also agree with that and hope that they stick with it, even though the rule does have its detractors, I guess. But the Brewers, I think, don't have to worry about it this year. They have more than enough deserving representative we've already went over. So okay, third inning. This is another All-Star question. From the All-Star festivities, which now includes the draft, what is your favorite All-Star festivity? The draft, the celebrity softball game, the home run derby, or the actual All-Star game? Or fan
the
fest?
actual All-Star game. Out of those, I will say this: having gone to a couple different fan fests, I was able to get to obviously the one in Milwaukee in 2002, but I also was able to do that in Washington D.C. in 2018. It was awesome. Like, I love the fan fest. They always take the Baseball Hall of Fame always puts on something from the local team's history or the local city's history as it relates to baseball. I know that in Washington D.C., some representatives from Cooperstown came and they had a ball that was autographed by every U.S. president since William Taft. And it was awesome. Like, it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And the Baseball Hall of Fame had it, and they brought down a bunch of stuff from Walter Johnson and other greats in that case. So I'm sure that they'll do something similar this year in Texas. So I really like that. But the game is my favorite out of the ones that you listed.
Okay, yeah, and I'm obviously a big draft guy, but so I'll say that as my actual answer now. But obviously that's a new thing. Before that, I mean, obviously I do like the game a lot as well, but I would almost go with the home run derby because I really like the exhibition of that, and it's exciting, especially if you as a representative from your team participating in it. But it's just something. There's no more sexy thing in sport than a home run, in my opinion. So, but anyway,
take the long ball, Craig. Hey, when is the last time that a Brewer participated in the home run derby? I'm trying to remember. Was it Weeks and Fielder? We had to have somebody since then, right?
I don't want to say Fielder was the last one, but maybe we can get Scott's interns on that. But yeah,
and Ricky Weeks did it the same year as Prince was the captain of that team, and I remember Prince picked Ricky as his mate during the home run derby.
Yeah, I know that Prince is the only Brewer to ever win the home run derby, which he did, I believe, when St. Louis hosted it back then. But yeah, so it's an interesting question. But let's go into the fourth inning here. What player any major league player that has began his career during this century, that means after the year 2000 or after, in your opinion, is the most like the now late great Willie Mays?
Oh wow, that's an amazing question. You can't say Pujols because he doesn't play defense like Mays. I don't know that you can ever find another Willie Mays comp. I mean, he's such a unique player, truly five-tool player. I mean, there's nobody like Willie Mays, Craig. That's the answer. I will say in terms of just being great as a ball player, but with the different levels of skill set, I think Miguel Cabrera comes pretty close to having five tools in his prime, but his defense was nowhere near Willie Mays, who really set the bar as the greatest defensive center fielder in baseball history.
Yeah, no, that's a good answer. That there really isn't a good comp. I do like the Miggy pick though, but obviously I agree with you that he doesn't have that tool, the defensive tool. I guess the first guy that comes to my thought in answering this is probably Mike Trout, but
Yeah,
I actually am going to go with Ichiro, believe it or not. I mean, they're not that similar as of a comp, but I guess in the way that I just compare Ichiro to him because who did come to the majors in 2001. As someone who was really an ambassador of the game and in my opinion, brought like a love to the game to not only like to kids and to other sections around the world, obviously Japan, and I think he really helped expand the game on an international level. Just like Willie Mays back in the day, at the time that he broke in, and he was loved by all, like it seemed like by everyone, kids and basically people of all races, in my opinion. And I think that was a breakthrough at the time. I felt like Ichiro helped expand the MLB market, so to speak. But obviously he's a great
yep,
player and a defensive player, and I as well. But obviously there's someone he didn't have the power of Mays, so it's not the greatest comp. But I think
yeah,
in that way,
yeah.
that'll be my answer, I guess. Ichiro.
Yeah, I can see what you mean with like general impact on the game in terms of him being a superstar and the cross cultural or cross national appeal in Ichiro's case. Ichiro though he ended his career with 117 bombs compared to 660 for Mays, who missed time by serving in the army. I don't know that I would make that comp necessarily, and I know that some of Ichiro's numbers were not what they would have been if he would have started his career in the U.S. and the major leagues as well. But you have to remember that Willie Mays also had a year where he played in the now recognized Negro leagues, but before that, his numbers didn't count towards his major league stats. So I think that they're both really great players, obviously, but I think Mays is in a category all by himself. If you're asking, one interesting guy, he hasn't played quite long enough to get this comparison, is what about Aaron Judge in terms of his power? I don't think his overall impact on the game, but he is a celebrity, he is a superstar, and he is an outfielder in New York who has a ton of power. You're talking about a guy that's hit over 60 home runs in a season. He's led the league twice. He's leading the league right now in home runs. He's already got 284 bombs in his 9-year career. Those are interesting comps. So I could actually see Aaron Judge as being an answer on some level. Obviously, not the defensive caliber of Willie Mays, but then again, no one else is.
Yeah. No, that's Judge is a good pick, and I think Trout would have been as well. But no, but the real answer, your first answer is probably correct. There really is no comp to him.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go on to the fifth inning. Bigger Brewer surprise this year. Colin Ray or Tobias Meyer?
Good question. I will say Tobias Myers, because I feel like we knew what we were going to get with Colin Ray to a point. Like I've always liked Colin Ray. I did think he was better than Adrian Hauser, and that is officially on one of our podcasts. So I do think that he's doing better than we would have thought, but I've always thought that he was a pretty solid back end of the rotation type of guy who didn't get his chance earlier with us or other teams because of teams having a good and depthful starting rotation. But I think that he's kind of measuring up to expectations. Whereas I think that Tobias Meyer, he's really stepped up. I think that he's improved his game. I think that he's young enough where he's still really working on some things. He's talked about some mechanical changes that he's made even at the big league level after his first start was a little rocky. So I'm going to go with him.
Yeah, I also agree. I'm going to go with Tobias Myers. Colin Ray continues to, I guess, amaze me in ways because I didn't really think. I felt he was going to kind of go like the Jason Alexander route where he had a nice little flash and then kind of like settled back to being not necessarily a major league quality starting pitcher. But I think Colin Ray has proven me wrong. So that's a surprise to me, and great news for the Brewers and Brewer fans. But Tobias Meyer, I think, is someone that, came to this organization, with coming off injury, and he had he had a decently, prospect valuation or whatever. But I think that he was just such a forgotten person. And if you would have thought, coming in the year, we had a lot of young guys that I thought had to get some innings in major league level, and we had plenty of spots available for him. But I thought Tobias Myers was pretty far down that depth chart, and he's obviously due to unfortunate injuries and what have you, but he's gotten an opportunity, and now he's showing that he's worthy of it. So I'll go with him as my pick as well. All right, sixth inning. What other NL division leader would you, I guess, it scares you the most, or would you prefer to avoid if at all possible in the playoffs? The Dodgers or the Phillies?
The Phillies for sure. I mean, they kicked our butt in that series in Philadelphia. I know that some of that seemed to be luck, I do think that the Phillies. I'm not saying they're not an incredibly talented team. I think that the Brewers were hitting a lot of well hit balls right at people, is what I mean by that. But the Phillies scare me. I mean, I picked them to win that division before the season started. I think that they're better than the Braves, and that's playing out on the field. Yeah, the Phillies. I'd much prefer to play the Dodgers, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment. Phillies as well. I mean, the Dodgers, obviously, if you look at, well, now especially with Betts out possibly for a while, I should probably be back by playoff time. But I mean, with their top of their lamp with is obviously ridiculous with Otani and Freeman up there too. But I mean, their pitching, the rotation has just got still a lot of question marks. Going to have some young guys doing great, but I mean, even Kershaw's not back yet, and now Walker Buehler's back to the IL. So the Phillies just seem like a stronger, deeper, healthier team at this juncture. So I'd also go with the Phillies. So, all right. Number 7. These are kind of just random, all over the place questions. So I gotta give credit to the Scott's interns for coming up with some of these. But favorite section to sit at Miller Park and Pham Field. Just any random
my favorite is
specific section, not like a whole, like you can't just say like field infield box. You have to say a specific numbered section.
Sure. 219. I like to be in that area just by the press box. Not in the family section, but up on that level. I think that the Loge has got really good food options. Yeah, I'll go 219.
Yeah, nice. I have a similar pick. Mine's actually Loge off field box 228. It's right where the cutoff and the seats go a little bit down in price. I mean, I like that. Obviously, having kids and whatever, but I mean I just like the panoramic view from that side. You get to see both of our nice huge scoreboards now, and you really just get you're taking the full. I just like that perspective of Miller Park, I guess, for the most part, and the seats to the actual game are great as well. So that's what I'm going with, section 228.
Yeah, good pick.
All right.
Do you remember when we sat up there for a game with our anonymous source, Tom Carter, and he gave us all that information?
Oh yeah, he did. TC. And I remember that was one of the first times he told us, like, to stop using his name on it because he was worried about getting let go by the Brewers. And yeah, he is he currently looking for work? I know it's not probably because of us, but yeah, I don't know how he gets this information even without being employed there anymore. But yeah. So anyway,
yeah, I heard he was let go by the Brewers, but I don't know why. So no idea.
Doesn't make any sense to me. But maybe someone else has got some information on that, some inside information we could share. But anyway, yeah. So all right. 8th inning, 10 years from now, which Matt Arnold trade will look better? The Josh Hader trade or the Corbin Burns trade?
I think the Hader trade was that Arnold? Or no, I guess technically it was. That Stearns had been promoted, right?
I'm not exactly sure. We'll get Scott's interns on this, but we'll say we'll switch it to which Brewer trade.
I'm gonna say Corbin Burns. As much as I love William Contreras and Robert Gasser, and I do think that we're going to end up winning that trade in terms of amount of wins caused for each franchise based on the players that we either received in that trade or who we received for people in that trade. I still think it really hurts to trade an all-star when you're in first place. I'm not saying that it was necessarily the wrong move long term. I'm saying that it's a move that hurt more at the time and may have cost us a spot in the postseason that year. So I'm not going to give that credit. I think that in terms of it being the better trade. So I'm going to go with the Corbin Burns trade. Yeah, we'll say that is going to be the longest impacted. Well, let's just say it's a better trade out of those two.
Yeah,
I think Ortiz is going to be a stud, and I think DL Hall is going to be way better than he's shown so far.
I think the cool answer for Burr fans is that both trades are going to end up looking that they fell in our favor long term. That's at least what I believe right now. But yeah, I'm going to also go with Corbin Burns trade just because I still expect great things from DL Hall. But I also have to mention that Joey Ortiz is part of that trade, and we also get a draft pick, a pretty high comp draft pick, end of the first round draft pick coming up that who knows what that can become. But Joey Ortiz alone, if you look at the numbers he's putting up, he really is showing the signs of an all-star level player, and that's more than what I thought he was when we acquired him in the trade. And he's got a great eye at the plate, and I think his bat is borderline special. In fact, he was just named the.
Oh, I definitely think it's special. Sorry, I had to jump in at that. I definitely think his bat is special, and he couples that with to me at least, a pretty mature approach at the plate. You know, he's got a couple less walks than strikeouts, but I do think that that's going to even continue to improve. Dude's got a 381 OBP right now and a 454 slugging percentage.
Yep. And that he was just named NL Rookie of the Month for May, the month of May. Joey Ortiz, so congratulations to him. And that actually segues into our ninth inning question. And the ninth inning question is actually just more of a trivia question for you, Vince, and in honor of Scott, who loves trivia and is apparently doesn't like baseball either. But anyway, let's see. Yeah, so here's the question. So Joey Ortiz was our May NL Rookie of the Month, and he became the 7th Brewer to be NL Rookie of the Month since the Brewers have moved into Miller Park in 2001. How many of the other six NL Rookie of the Months can you name since 2001?
Wow, that's a great question. I'm definitely not sure on these guesses,
credit for coming up with that.
Yeah, no, Sapphire, thank you. I'm going to say Prince Fielder is one of those.
Correct.
Ricky Weeks?
Incorrect.
Okay. JJ? Was Hardy one? No, he got hurt that year. Scotty Podsednik.
Ding, ding, ding. Number 2 you've got there.
Okay, so Prince Podsednik. Ortiz is 7. Ben Sheets.
Correct. Got 3 of them.
Man, this is you may be stumping. What about Giovanni? Did he get that list? Get on that list?
Incorrect.
All right.
I will say you're missing one fairly obvious one.
Devin Williams.
Nope.
Huh? That would have been a pretty. Oh, Ryan Braun.
Yeah, Ryan Braun was actually twice. He was NL
Okay.
Player of the Month both in June and July of 2007, his rookie year. So let's see, that gives you 4.
4.
The other 2 are tough.
John Ackford?
Nope.
Man. All right, I'm going to take one more step. Jimmy Nelson.
Ooh, nice guess. All right. Do you want me to just reveal the other 2 or give you some hints?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what you missed was September of 2009, Casey McGee.
Ooh, nice. Yeah,
that's probably the most difficult one.
Yep.
And the only other one besides Ortiz in the last 15 years was July of 2019, Keston Hira.
Well, Keston Hira, that's right. I did know that. We talked about it on this podcast. I should have remembered that. Yep.
Which makes me sad for what became of him. But yeah.
No, he's killing it in AAA. He hit another bomb yesterday.
Oh, did he? Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess he's still not a finished story, but I think his Brewers chapter is probably over. And it was not particularly pleasant, but that was definitely a highlight back his rookie year. So yeah, that wraps up our Rapid 9. Great job with that. And yeah, that was exciting. And like I said, get on out to AmFam Field to root on your first place Brewers as we had in the All-Star game. Get those All-Star votes in. I really have a strong feeling that both Contreras and Yelich can be voted in, and possibly I really like to see Terang move up in the rankings too. I think he's more deserving. Last time I checked, he was sitting like 6th in the second baseman, and all that's ridiculous. The guy's awesome. So hopefully we can get more votes in, Brewer fans. And coming up on our next episode, we're gonna have our first ever top 5, which I've kind of teased already. Top 5 lists between me and you, our Brook Review lists. And so tune in for that.
And until that time, Craig, just wanted to remind folks to please do give us a follow on Twitter, Brew Crew Review 1 on Twitter, and you can email or any questions that you might have to Scott, who will get to those questions, I'm sure, on one of these episodes. Brew Crew Review podcasts with an S at gmail.com.
All right, go Brewers.
Go Brewers. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Scotty. Thanks, Vic.
And stay classy, Tom.
Do, do.
Do, do.